All right, welcome back to the Rivers Edge Radio Network. I have our political insider, Mr. Mike McMullen, on the phone. Mike, how are you?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, some interesting things to talk about today. The McGinty College conundrum.
You want me to comment on that, or what would you like on that?
Sure. I mean, I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Why are people so bent out of shape over this? I mean, I understand that she was wrong, but in the grand scheme of things, to break it down to our listeners, she claimed that she was the first one in her family to go to college, and it turns out it wasn't. It was her brother, and her excuse was, and this is actually the most insulting thing about this whole situation, in my opinion, was her excuse, her campaign's excuse as to where she came to say she was the first one to go to college, as he only went to community college to start, and then he went to a 4-year degree, as if somehow he's a second-class citizen for going to community college. That's the only thing that I get out of it that's really offensive, but that seems to be the thing that no one else is talking about. They're just talking about, oh, she said this, and it wasn't 100% accurate, when you've got, freaking Hillary Clinton running for office, who's just like an entire library of lies and deceit. So I really don't understand why this issue in particular is driving people so insane.
Well, Brian, here's the thing. I mean, let's talk about more pertinent issues. I mean, whether she was the first person in her family to go to college. I think she's one of 10 kids,
Yeah.
or whatever. She grew up in a blue collar household in the southeastern part of the state. Let's talk about more pertinent issues. Look, I mean, it's not like she freaking lied on her resume and she had her PhD or a master's degree in an
Yeah,
MBA and
it's
and falsified. It's like, look, I mean, whether she was the second kid, the third kid, or the 10th kid in the family go to college, who gives a flying rat's ass? I mean, let's move on and talk about the pertinent, germane topics and the issues of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and national issues. Not whether, oh well, she was the first or second. It's a moot point. Let's move on.
yeah, and honestly, out of being one of 10 in a family, I can imagine why somebody would get confused.
Big deal. And the
Yeah.
thing is, people, who've gone to community college or have taken credits there. I speak firsthand. I mean, I took 18 credits at the Community College of Allegheny County as a Pitt graduate because I didn't want to deal with all the I took all the, I call them the BS courses, the bullshit courses.
Yeah.
The psychs, the econs, the sociologies, to be this well-rounded college student. And the thing is, you needed a C or better to transfer, and it was a hell of a lot cheaper to take summer classes at the community college, not at Pitt.
Yeah, I agree. That to me is the most insulting thing that she said. Is it was kind of the argument that, oh, he only went to community college. That's not, it's almost like that's not as worthy as, the high
Well,
foreign
well,
school.
I take offense to that because there
I
are
To me, yeah,
many.
that's the most offensive thing she said. Not that.
I mean, whether or not she's, like I said, the second or third kid. Look, there are many people who go to community college because they can't afford school. And look, there's nothing wrong with whether, I live in Allegheny County, you live, whether you go to community college of Allegheny County, Butler County Community College, Beaver County, whatever community college you go to, they put a good product out there. You get your associate's degree, or for the most times anymore, a lot of bachelors of arts or a bunch of BAs amount to a bunch of bullshit BSs. And I mean, and there
Yeah,
are more people making, money with technical degrees and associate's degrees and more than BAs. So, let's move on.
I agree. Uh, Dan Rather has just come out against Donald Trump. I feel like, and coming out
Wait,
against
wait,
him
wait, wait.
for Dan
Dan who?
Rather, Dan
Dan
Rather.
who? Yeah,
Yeah.
Dan who? Dan who? Okay, yeah. It's sort of like, Dan the man, the tax man, Dan Oronato, used to be the county executive. Dan who? Sorry, Dan Rather, 80 years old. Come on, it's just
Well,
as
not
much.
only that, I mean, he was shamed due to poor journalistic practices. So, is he really? Does he really have any leg to stand on?
No, I mean, Dan who? I mean, what? He retired, what, 6, 7 years ago, for God's sakes? I don't know, maybe more than that. I mean, look, I mean, it's sort of like, I'm not going to pick on Trump. It's sort of like Tom Brady endorsing Donald Trump. Who the hell cares?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, if it was a major United States senator or a major, business owner, businessman, businesswoman, different story. But Dan Rather, Tom Brady, who cares?
Yeah. Anything else going on in politics, Mike?
Well, I mean, it's we've got our delegation meeting here tomorrow in Harrisburg, where we as the delegates and alternate delegates will elect our leadership team,
Mm-hmm.
and we're 6 weeks out, 7 weeks out to the national convention. I mean, it's here, it's relevant, it's germane, and it's going to be. Everybody's very, very concerned about the security right now
Oh, really?
because it's just with
Due
all
to
these.
all of the protests at Trump
Correct.
rallies and okay.
Correct. Like if you just saw out in, I don't know if it was somewhere in Southern California. I want to say San Jose, but it wasn't. But somewhere out on the left coast. Yeah, I mean, and if that's just a rally here or there, and the bigger thing is that Trump is trying to negotiate, for his final night. Sort of remember when Obama was out at Mile High Stadium out in Denver. He's trying to get where the Browns play or where the Indians play to rent out the stadium, for the last convention night. And, there are going to be 60,000-70,000 people there. And that'll be unprecedented because Republicans normally go to a convention center, have it indoors and have like 10,
Mm-hmm.
12,000 people, and this could be open up to the general populace. So it's going to be interesting.
Do you plan on eating a donut today, Mike? And if so, what is your favorite donut shop? Where do you like to get your donuts?
Great question. I don't eat donuts.
You don't eat donuts, so you will
no.
not be celebrating National Donut Day today.
No, unfortunately, I am. I've been watching my weight. I've already lost 20 pounds, and no. The last thing I need is another donut. No, thanks.
Do you think we have a donut crisis in the city of Pittsburgh? There's nowhere to get a donut after like 6 p.m.
You mean 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.?
6 p.m.
Well, I mean, look, donuts are for the morning, early morning, and on weekends, and one thing is you can always go to Sheetz because they've always got donuts.
Mike, that's not acceptable. Sheetz donuts, that's gas station donuts. I mean, I want high quality, freshly baked, no older than 2 hours old donuts.
Well, you better go to Philadelphia. You better go to New York or Chicago because there are places who have donuts, 24/7. But unfortunately, in Pittsburgh or in the suburbs.
No, that's not true. That the suburbs have them. That's what kills me. I can go out to Irwin or Murraysville or any of these other smaller suburban communities, and they have 24-hour donut shops. But in the city, it's a wasteland. It's a donut desert. It's empty. There's no donuts available in the evening in Pittsburgh.
Well, maybe you might have to move out to the suburbs, or move to, Actually, I will say I stand corrected. There's a lot of good little local donut shops in Butler County, but they're more prevalent in downtown Butler. And downtown Butler is it's a nice city, nice third or fourth class city. But if you want donuts, you're gonna have to maybe move north.
On the political end of this donut situation, Mike, if I were to say petition the county executive, do you think he may work with the county to try to push for new legislation to require donut businesses to extend their hours to accommodate the residents that live within the county?
Well, good luck with Fitz. I mean,
I think some big business regulation is okay if it meets the needs of the community.
Well, I mean, Fitz has not met a tax increase he hasn't met, or neither is county council. I would take it up with your county councilman Ed Kress, I believe, and maybe Mr. Kress can be, maybe put some more meaningful legislation out there. That's right. He doesn't do that anyway because he votes with the unions.
You brought up an interesting point, though, the idea of adding a tax increase in with this donut legislation. So what you could do is similar to Obamacare, where if you don't buy in, you're going to be taxed by the government. You could force donut businesses to extend their hours, accommodate the public, feed the hungry, or face a severe and harsh donut tax levy.
Well, I will say this. I'll challenge you this. Our former county executive, Dan the Man, the Tax Man, had the drink tax. Well, you know what? Let's have the donut tax.
I agree.
How about 10 to 20 cents on every extra donut made in Allegheny County?
I think unless you extend your hours.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think that makes sense. Thank you so much, Mike. I always appreciate your commentary.
Thanks. Have a good week.
All right, you too. That's Mike McMullen on the River's Edge Radio Network.